This is Pittosporum tobira variegata, and this is a plant that's been around for a long time. Really handy foliage plant. The way it's been used here in front of a fence is a good example of how I've liked to use it in the past. What's nice about it, as opposed to just using Pittosporum tobira or some other evergreen foliage plant, is it has this nice variegation, gives you some contrast and some different interests than you get from just a green shrub. This is a good example because right there you see where that branch has reverted. Many times with variegated plants you'll have part of the plant revert back to the original plant that it came from, and you see that happening here as well with this plant where it's the dark green foliage without the variegation. Those can just be cut out and they tend to not come back on you. It's rare for me to see this plant have any reverting going on at all. So what I like about this plant is it's very durable, easy to grow, takes a lot of different conditions, it's evergreen, clean looking when it's happy, and dense the way you see here. Just a nice kind of 5 to 7 foot evergreen shrub. It does get a small flower. It's kind of inconspicuous that turns into a little fruit, which I did see. Yeah, you see right here you've got a couple of these little berries, but they're fairly inconspicuous and they're not really a problem. It's interesting because the fruit on Pittosporum tobira tends to be bigger and more of them. You see those right here, whereas on the variegated part there's a lot less of it for some reason. So I would tell you that this is a drought tolerant plant. Once it's established, it can take low amounts of water infrequently once it's established, and this can take shade or it can take full sun. It's going to prefer some sun to look its best, but this is a north-facing fence, so this one doesn't get a ton of light, especially with these trees around it, and they're doing fine. The other thing is a lot of the Pittosporums are deer resistant, I would say, so I've seen these used in deer areas and work, so they might be worth a try for that. So as a design element, I would just say they're a good massing type of foliage plant. And again, I like that this hasn't been sheared. Now, a lot of people will shear these and shape them, but I like this natural form. Is dense and yet it sits kind of irregular. Has a nice look to it for me. This shows a plant that's been sheared that's typical of how maintenance companies treat these. So make sure if you use it, you give it at least 3.5 to 4 feet of height for where you're going to put that. Otherwise, you're forcing the maintenance person to really rein it in. Here's a great looking planting that's been naturally pruned. And just want to mention, I'd put these about 4 to 5 feet on center from 5-gallon containers. That's Pittosporum tobira variegata.